Hi everybody, so this is going to be a video tutorial on our typical 10-step basic facial that we learn in the program. So I'm first starting by putting on a fresh pair of gloves and wrapping the hair in a towel wrap, just like I teach you guys in the classroom. This is going to ensure that their hair stays out of the way so that you can work freely on the face. Now I'm going to start with the first step, which is cleansing. Now you can see that they are steaming, the client is steaming, and they will steam for as long as possible. I had the client steaming for about 5 minutes before I began the facial, but ideally you want to be having them steam through the first 3 steps. So through the first cleanse, through the second cleanse, and the exfoliation step. This is going to ensure that their skin is softening and that they are basically opening up so that the extraction process that we do later on is going to be as pain-free and comfortable as possible. So that first cleanse that I did with the Ageless Image Cleanser was basically a pre-cleanse, and what this is going to do is remove any makeup, dirt, anything that they have built up throughout the day. And the second cleanse that I'm going to do after I remove this one right now that I'm doing with the sponges is going to be to really deep clean. So that glycolic acid that's in that Image Ageless Cleanser is really going to get involved with the skin at this moment because that top layer has been removed. And you can see that I'm doing this in basically small circular motions and just really massaging it into the skin. And I also have her neck and décolleté exposed, so I'm bringing the product down there as well. You want to treat the entire area as it is the same. Now I'm going to remove that cleanser using the sponges. I always use an upwards and outwards swiping technique. I'm not pressing too hard on the skin, and I'm always making sure to kind of be lifting the product up and outwards off of the face. This is going to ensure that through the whole process of the facial that I'm fighting that gravity process, and I'm just lifting up and out and really removing the product that I applied efficiently so there's nothing left behind. Now I'm going to be using the Ageless Brightening Powder Exfoliant, and this is a really nice gentle exfoliant because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't over exfoliating this client's skin. If you have a client that is normal to dry, or there's someone who has a typical daily routine of scrubbing, you definitely do not want to over exfoliate. It will mess with their pH. So I like to use a very gentle scrub on people of that nature so that I am not messing with their chemical makeup. And I'm using this powder exfoliant with a little bit of water, and you can see I'm doing small circular motions upwards and outwards all over the face to really break up any dry patches and to kind of stop the coagulating of dead cells on the skin. And then I'm going to use the sponges again with upwards and outwards motions to remove it using my warm water that I have off to the side. Alright, and now that I have finished removing the exfoliant, which would conclude those first 3 steps, I'm going to put some witch hazel toner onto a cotton round to have that off to the side, and I'm going to begin my analyzing the skin step. I don't like to analyze until those first 3 steps of the cleanse, the double cleanse, and the exfoliant are completely done, because this ensures that I can really see the skin. There's no buildup that they have accumulated throughout the day that may block my vision. Now I'm using an extractor tool, and you guys know that I am a firm believer in this tool if you are using it properly. Now the reason that I do not promote using fingers for, pushing extractions is because basically our fingers have a really, really large surface area. And you can imagine that lesions and pimples and things like that on the skin are likened to an iceberg, where we see a very, very small amount of it on the top. And when we pop it with our fingers, a small amount of it is removed, but a majority of the bacteria that's trapped underneath the skin causing that pimple is actually spreading outwards to the surrounding area a couple inches, in the diameter around that lesion that you originally saw. So what's going to happen is you may kind of release it and break down the pimple on that day, but in a couple of days they're going to come back to you and they're going to let you know that they have a lot of random little breakouts that are surrounding that one that you had popped, because now it has spread underneath the skin. So I like to use this tool because it's extremely precise and it pulls the lesion straight up and out of the skin. You can see that I'm using gloved hands to really prep and pull the skin all over the face in very small sections to really make sure that I'm getting everything. You can use the magnifying lamp. In this case, I didn't really need it because I could see everything I needed to see on this client, but I want to be extremely thorough with this step and really take my time. Now that I finish extracting any trapped sebum that I saw, blackheads, whiteheads, I'm going to tone the entire face. You do not want to swipe any witch hazel toner on the face before you've done extractions, because the idea of witch hazel as an astringent is to kill bacteria and kind of tighten up the skin as to not release or spread any bacteria that you've pulled out from it. So you don't want to do that before extracting, because you'll basically make your extracting process more difficult and the skin a lot tighter to work with. Now our next step is going to be masking. I'm using the Vital C enzyme mask, and this is going to be really nice and hydrating and brightening. And I'm going to use a fan brush to paint this all over the skin. I want to definitely coat everything that I can. So I'm starting at the forehead. I like to bring it down past the temples. Everything that you are applying throughout this whole process is staying outside of that orbital bone. So those round periorbital bones that are around the eyes, we're staying outside of that region and off of the lips themselves. And we're going to paint the mask all over the face itself and dragging any excess product down the neck. Now I'm going to remove a small amount of the mask that has not been fully absorbed after the 15 minutes. I am going to use a warm towel right now to make sure that any excess product that I didn't remove before is pushed even deeper down into the skin. And it also is just a very comforting measure after you've been kind of playing with the skin with cool products up to this point. While the mask was setting, that is usually a point, which I didn't show in the video, where you would be working on their arms. Now, we all know that we are not massage therapists unless you are, so I can't teach you a proper way of doing arm massage, but basically we will use an unscented lotion or oil, and we will basically work from entry to origin, kind of massaging the arm from the hand towards the heart, and that's going to really help with blood flow and lymphatic drainage. And then I came back to the face to remove that mask and then use those warm towels. Now I'm going to do the facial massage portion, and this is where I really want you guys to spend your time if you found that you've kind of been rushing through the rest of the facial. If you find that you haven't spent, your maximum allotted time on each step, and you find that at this point, now that you're more than halfway through the facial, that you're only 20 or 30 minutes in, you really need to make this step stretch. So the idea of facial massage is to drain the lymph nodes that are underneath the skin. And there are special pressure points, such as the temples, the beginning of the eyebrows, back behind the ears, underneath the jawline, like you see I'm pulling towards now, that you can basically apply pressure on and drag the skin towards in order to drain their built up liquids that they kind of get in those areas throughout the day. And this is going to help to improve their face visually. So it's going to actually lift the skin and help to, perk up the muscles underneath the face so that they look a lot younger and tighter, and that their skin feels a lot less puffy. It's also important to note that in this step, I was using a mixture of 2 serums as well as a small amount of water to make sure that I had glide. I used the Image Intense Brightening Cream as well as the Image Vitamin C Anti-Aging Serum. And again, just working this up and out, fighting gravity and hanging out in those pressure points a little bit longer. Now this would be time for my aftercare, so I'm taking a small amount of a Vital C Hydrating Eye Cream, and I am just tapping this on the edges of that periorbital bone. So that round bone that surrounds the eye, I'm just tapping the product there. You do not want to be rubbing this product underneath or above the eyelid, because as they go out throughout the day and they are sweating, it's going to move and migrate into the eye and actually burn really badly. So you want to just keep it on that orbital bone, and it will move where it needs to go throughout the day. My next step is going to be to apply SPF, which is vital to the end of all of your facials, and this is going to be to make sure that they are protected all throughout the day. A lot of clients will ask you, what do I do now? Do I remove this stuff? Do I sleep in it? If you are doing a nighttime facial, you're more than welcome to skip SPF and use a heavier moisturizer that you have in your back bar. But in this case, I'm going to put the SPF on them, and I need to make sure that they are doing a very nice gentle cleanse before bed, and then they can go back to applying their regular moisturizers. This is a lip treatment, which is an additional step you can give to the client. And now at this point, you're going to go over their aftercare. So the main things that you're going to go over are just a gentle cleanse before bed. They can go back to using regular moisturizers, but to refrain from using any chemical or physical exfoliants for at least 3 days. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, please reach out with questions if you have any.